Hi, this video will be split into two parts. The first half being Jack Harlow's recent comments, sure we all know what those are, and how the immediate effects of what is happening. The second part we'll be talking about how the comments have already started affecting the album and his reputation. So sorry, I just had dinner not too long ago. I will be looking at my script for the most part. Apologies, but that's how we roll around here. So, for those unfamiliar or they didn't look at the thumbnail, Jack Harlow recently said in an interview talking about his recent album Monica that he got blacker. I surely don't have to explain why this is bad, but if you want to know, Jack Harlow is white, like incredibly white, and it felt very just strange, like to hear that. Like what? I I think he called himself. I think he said it because his recent album, compared to his previous albums, this one is R&B and neo soul influenced. However, I still don't feel like that gives him the right to say that. I do not feel like he should have a right in saying that because Jack Harlow, like I literally said before, is white, like me. Now, let's actually delve deeper into this. I wonder if Jack Harlow is almost trying to. When this first started coming out, my immediate first thought was, oh, this isn't real, right? Then when I saw it was real, I was like, what the fuck? Why would he say that? Two things came to my mind. Both of them I still feel like are not that good. Number one, trying to create some form of controversy so his album will be more successful. Backfired if that's the case. Or second of all, he's almost trying to play some sort of character. And again, that's not really like helping his image. I don't know if you've seen the memes, but Jack Harlow has been getting bullied online relentlessly since the interview. Not only because of the album and his comments, but also just the way he's dressing. Like people are calling him like uncommon, and all that stuff. So I gotta read my script just so I get the general point. Now, causing a controversy is not anything sort of new for Jack Harlow. There will either be like a song he releases, an artist he works with, or whatever, and that sort of stirs up controversy. I remember I think it was around the end of 2024, there was a bit of controversy with him and Doja Cat, apparently in a relationship. I don't know, it's some bullshit. We don't care. And I remember in 2023, with his album Jackman, there was a song "Gang Gang Gang," which, for the better lack of words, it was a very weird song, and it tackled very heavy subject matter. I don't think I can actually say what it is without getting like a demonetized or whatever. But listen to the song if you are curious. But it felt like Jack Harlow spoke about these insane, heavily topics in such a really poor way. And I have been there for the release of Come Home, the Kids Miss You, Jackman, and now Monica. And I gotta say, the music in general is incredibly unoriginal. A lot of the time, he is just stealing from a bunch of other artists. I have it literally written here that in around Come Home, the Kids Miss You, he was, and probably his earlier stuff, I can't speak on that because I haven't heard, but at least in Come Home, the Kids Miss You, Jack Harlow was definitely taking a lot of influence from Drake, and Drake is on that album. Drake is definitely on that album. On his recent album, he said that he retired from the school of Drake. Now, he hasn't given like the definitive, oh, this artist influenced Monica, but I feel like with how the album is sounding, you could put a lot of the Soulquarians stuff in there, where he's kind of taking a lot of their ideas. The big difference, though, is that when like D'Angelo, the Roots, Most Def, are talking about doing like the R&B neo soul hip hop thing, it feels very authentic, and they are communicating their own lived experiences, whether that is through racism, oppression, or stuff like love and like delight. When Jack Harlow does it, he doesn't have a lot of things to discuss other than maybe love, but even then he does it so shallow that it just sounds like he's trying his hardest to sound incredibly deep, but he really cannot get beneath the surface. Yeah, that's a bit of a rant. Another interesting thing, I told one of my friends this, but it felt like a very weird thing that when one of his albums wasn't successful, people hated Come Home, The Kids Miss You. What did Jack Harlow do in Jackman? Switched it up, went for a more conscious sound, inspired by like Kanye, all that stuff. Again, wasn't successful. What does he do? Go to like R&B. And again, this isn't being successful. Where will he go next? Will he just retire? Will he just quit? Or will he, do the fucking country artist? Will he go become a country artist? Who knows? It is a very interesting thing. And the thing is that I was gonna say a word, but I don't know if it was the correct way of pronouncing it. But I was gonna say a colonialist. I think that's the correct way of pronouncing it. But I feel like Jack Harlow is this colonialist who is taking like black art from the artists I just mentioned before, but is clearly doing it in a way where it is incredibly unoriginal. It lacks soul and depth and real emotion, and I think that's been the biggest flaw. I know I'm talking a lot about his overall career, but remember, this especially is incredibly bad with Monaco, because he's through this whole rollout, he's trying to act like this deeper sort of person. If you're not that deep, you're going to be just talking about the exact same stuff, which he has been for the most part. I mean, Monica doesn't have gang, 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 so I will say that. Also, I write on my script here, I'm so sorry. Jack Harlow's peak, right? This is another interesting thing I wanted to bring up. That was around 2020, 2021. From like 2020 to 2022, my apologies. That was sort of his peak. And he was, in that era, he was taking, yes, a lot from pop rap, the school of Drake, yada yada. And again, all that music is so incredibly unoriginal. It is actually amazing and a bit shocking how unoriginal Jack Harlow is. It's kind of depressing. But yeah, I thought those were just some very interesting points to bring up. I feel like Jack Harlow has this curse of ignorance, in the title, where he will say something but not immediately realize how this might affect him later on, or he might take, from black artists and, do it his way, whether it's for money or whatever, and again, be ignorant about the stuff he's taking from. And it's incredibly, sad to see. The thing is that, though, he is not that successful. Money-wise, he's probably successful, but, actually reputation-wise, these albums are pretty hated. Jack Harlow's music is pretty overall disliked because there is just other artists that Jack Harlow takes from that are just better, right? let's look at Drake as the example. If he's been taking from the school of Drake, would you rather listen to Jack Harlow Drake ripoff music, or at least just listen to Drake? I feel like that we would probably rather just listen to Drake at that point, because, like, yeah, I don't know, I don't really feel like I have to explain. Gotta use some critical thinking. I'm not even joking you. The song Jack Harlow and Drake have, Churchill Downs, literally sounds like Jack Harlow went on YouTube and searched up Drake type beat. I know this has been a very negative video, but this is what I feel like is necessary, because I feel like Jack Harlow is a negative influence in the overall space of hip-hop in the grand scheme of things. Like I said, with his ignorance and his statements saying that he got blacker. And in the same interview, I believe he was talking about how much he loves black music. However, it feels so incredibly performative. It feels like he's saying it so he doesn't get as much hate, but it doesn't feel like it's coming from a genuine, authentic place. It feels like he's saying it just to say it, but he doesn't have any sort of heart in it. He's just I don't know what to describe it. He's rattling off a lot of bullshit. That's my best way. And yeah. Anyways, this is the first half of the video done, where we look at the immediate effects of this and his career as a whole. Now let's look at the reputation and the album Monica. And I will give my personal thoughts on it too, so somewhat review. Since the release of Monica and all the interviews, Pitchfork have given this a 3.1, I believe. Anthony Fantano has given this a 3 out of 10. The album is incredibly underselling, and most people, from what I can gather, the people I have talked to, so I can't say the majority of people, do not like this album, because it feels like such a ripoff of such other incredible artists, Common, D'Angelo, etc. And it's just absolutely insane to see how much this is getting. If I am not wrong, this might be the worst amount of hate I have seen Jack Harlow getting, which is saying a lot, because he's already gotten so much hate. At this point, it feels like that the hate is so much that this is almost like the start of the end of Jack Harlow as an artist, I guess. Whether he will drop again, I guess we will see, but who knows. I remember nearing the end of 2024, he released a song that was like a bossa nova influence, and I love bossa nova, but oh my god, he did not do anything interesting. He literally just searched up like bossa nova type beat on YouTube and fucking called it a day, and the whole song as a whole really that depressed me, because bossa nova and Brazilian music is incredible. It's like one of my favorite, a lot of music I love from bossa nova. In another video, I put some recommendations for some Brazilian music in the description, so you can look at that if you're interested. It's just so insane. I don't know. I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point, but genuinely baffling to see that at this point in his career, he's getting the most amount of hate. Keep in mind, Jack Harlow, I believe, is 28. So, he's still got growing to do, I guess. But also, in the words of Professor Sky, on one hand, he's 28. You say dumb shit, but on the other hand, it's 2026. You shouldn't be just saying dumb shit. Anyways, this is enough of that. Let's actually get to my personal thoughts on the album. There was a few songs I like, but overall, what I said in this video, rip off of a bunch of other music, and I really did not feel that strongly. I give the album a 5 out of 10. It sucks. It's really boring, and it has absolutely no soul and no life to it. It actually is one of the most soulless R&B albums I've ever heard, and I love R&B. huge fan. So that just, really sad to see. But yes, I hope I was very clear with what I was able to talk about with Jack Harlow taking a lot from black art and just sort of using it in his way to try and like gain like a higher level of status rather than like making authentic music. Like he could take the influence but making authentic music. I guess in a way, because this is underselling, some people might say, oh, that makes it more authentic because he's not in it for the money. However, this will most likely, I believe this is already getting like millions of streams, and it really is sad to see because, like, just like listen to like the Soulquarians are a bunch of like older R&B and hip hop artists because they do an incredible job. Illadelph Half-Life by The Roots has been in my rotation very recently because of how absolutely stellar and fantastic the production is on a lot of those songs. And it has this authentic feel to it. It feels very authentic to what it's trying to do. Jack Harlow made a cheap copy and tried to pass it off as an incredibly authentic album. However, it is nothing more but a very shallow surface level look at love, romance, whatever. And as a whole, Jack Harlow feels like strange because he keeps taking and changing. Like he went from pop rap to then the conscious hip hop to then R&B. Like if Come Home the Kids Miss You was hated, why not just make better pop rap? I get people change and evolve and stuff, but even in like 2024, some of the stuff Jack Harlow was releasing was pretty pop rap inspired. Yeah, it just feels so incredibly actually frustrating to see the level of inauthenticity get this much attention. Anyways, that's the video. I hope this was very clear. And yeah, fuck Jack Harlow. See ya.